Before we get fully into the podcast, guys, we're going to take a quick break for an announcement. Speaking to Kyle and Nick, we have decided now that football season is here and Sundays are kind of full, we want to get our video out a little sooner. So Thursdays at 11 o'clock, we are going to be airing the Get Back Guys from here on out. Episode 15, which is the one you should hopefully be listening to now, is the last one to be at Saturday at 11. From now on, it'll be on Thursdays at 11. So check that out. Make sure you do.
What is up, everybody? We got another episode of the Get Back Guys. Kyle's Brester is finally back. He's been gone, our other host. And then on today's episode, we have the esteemed guest, me and Alex's brother-in-law, Kyle Poor. Round of applause.
Love it. I love it. Finally get him on.
Big Rams fan. Today we're going to talk briefly about the NBA. Alex and I will just kind of go over what's going on, and then we'll hop into some NFL talk. Got week 2. So real quick, Alex, give us the rundown on the NBA. How are the Heat doing?
Real quick, remember, guys, follow us on Spotify or the YouTube show where you can see our faces, Apple Podcasts, as well as Twitter and Instagram at the Get Back Guys. You can follow Nick and I too separately. Those are all around the screen. NBA lost to the Celtics on Saturday. Been a big bummer. Didn't enjoy it. They had a huge lead. He came back, looked better. We actually play tonight as of recording this episode. We play right after this, so I'll probably make dinner and then end up watching the game. But we're doing pretty good still. Everything I've said in the last couple episodes, I stand by. Heat are good. Jimmy Butler's good. I think we can really win this series. If we lose tonight, I think it's going to end up going to 7. If we win, I think they might win one more game, but I think it's going to just go to 6. So 6-7 games, we're looking pretty good. Nuggets confused the heck out of me last night. I swear that I read Lakers beat Nuggets and come back. And then like an hour or two later, I was laying in bed and I was like, our chat was blown up and I was like, I think I'm confused. Let me go back. I looked it up and I was like, wow, I don't know how I read that Bleacher Report article so poorly, but now the Nuggets have their one win. Will the Lakers win again? Will that mean that they're going to lose the series? I don't know. These Nuggets are wild. So what about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lakers are still a very good chance to kind of dominate the rest of this series. They're still the best team in the playoffs, and even though they were going to lose 1, probably 2 games, it could go to 7, but LeBron James lost only 2 series in his entire career in the playoffs after he's won game 1. So I don't think the Nuggets are going to be the third. I think the Lakers are going to cruise on this point. So anyone else have any NBA thoughts, or you want to switch to NFL? I think everything's kind of the same as last week.
Yeah, and, I'm wearing Heat gear if you're watching on the YouTube show today because I don't want to talk about the Eagles. I don't want to do it. You're going to make me do it, and I don't want to do it.
Honestly, no one's going to make you, but I'm sure it's going to happen.
Honestly, we'd all rather spare the you complaining about it, yeah.
The rant. So you'd rather me not talk about it.
Yeah, so let's put off you talking about it for as long as possible.
Well, now I want to. So
yeah,
there it is.
Let's transition to the NFL, and I guess we can go around and because we all have our teams. Let's each go talk about just very generally kind of what you're thinking about the teams, and we'll lead it off with KP. You're up. How are the Rams?
Surprisingly, very solid so far. Beat the Cowboys home week 1. Nice defensive effort, good stand. Not sure why Cowboys went for that 4th down and couldn't get it, but got the win. That was huge. And the opening of SoFi Stadium, no fans, but it's what we got to do right now. And then last week, went to Philly and beat the Eagles quite handedly. Sorry, Al, but that's just the fact. I think what really makes them maybe more promising than I really thought they could have been is their ability to run the ball. the O-line's really gelling and just firing off the snap. And I think they've had over 150 yards as a team the first 2 weeks. And it bodes well. McVay's offense sets up quite well. Play action. Goff's a good play action quarterback. If he has time, he can be an elite quarterback worth the contract he is signed to. If he starts getting pressure, he's rather average at times, but a lot of quarterbacks in the league are like that. But I like where they're at. They got a big game against the Bills, also a 2-0 team. It'll be interesting. I think
That'll be a fun one.
The defense is going to maybe have to step up more so than it did against the Eagles. They definitely let the Eagles back in at the end of the first half. Cooper Kupp's fumble was a big part of that. But, you got Jalen Ramsey taken away, hopefully Stephon Diggs, and Aaron Donald can do what he does every single time he steps on a football field, and that's just wreak havoc. And we'll see. It seems like the story of the NFL so far this year has been injuries, and the Rams have been immune to that. And if that continues, they could be a major contender at the end of this. But we'll see. Long way to go.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Actually, last week, when we went through our surprises of the week, mine was the Rams for how good they played coming out. Jared Goff on PFF, I think he's their 4th highest rated quarterback after 2 weeks, which is super impressive. And so keeping it in the NFC West, Kyle, how do you feel about your Seahawks?
I love Russell Wilson. And I love Jamal Adams. Life is good over here, man. I don't have many complaints. I mean,
oh, good for you.
No, I mean, our offense is firing on all cylinders a lot more than in previous years. They're finally seeming to let Russell and the playbook from Schottenheimer open up a lot more, really let him take control of the games, which has worked very well for like the passing game, but as well as the running game. I've liked what I've seen out of Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde combined. And we got Jamal Adams. The defense looks good. It's looking a bit better than last year. Even though we have Jamal Adams, our secondary is getting shredded a bit too much to my liking. I'm hoping they can tighten that up. Quinton Dunbar, he didn't really have much of an offseason, so I'm hoping he comes into play a little bit more as time goes on. Hopefully they can just figure things out. Pass rush is still the issue, though. I mean, it looks more explosive than last year. We looked a lot slower. These guys that we have now look a lot quicker, but we still need help there. And I don't know whether it's to try and find whatever free agent is left or try and find a different type of rotation, but that's definitely the biggest weakness. I'm not as much worried about the secondary because I feel like there's still a really good group that just needs to tighten things up, but it really helps if you have a pass rush, and we don't have that there yet. I'm hoping that changes, but that's definitely like the biggest weakness. It's no longer offensive line like it used to be. Still not great, but it looks better, and it's causing Russ to be able to play lights out. So all things considered, 2-0, offense looks great, defense is tightened up, but we're looking good. We're sitting pretty.
Yeah, I think a big thing for the NFC West for the Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, and then we'll see with the 49ers because of all of their really bad injuries. It's really going to come down to those division games because you guys go up against 2 of the weaker divisions in the NFL and the NFC East and the AFC East this year. So
I think so, yeah.
You just played the Patriots, so yep.
Right.
Yeah, and you got Rams got Bills next week. So I think the division games for you guys are going to be particularly fun to watch because they're always close, especially in like we've seen with Russ's career, how he's like 50% against Rams and Cardinals. So those games are going to be big to see kind of who comes out on top. So Alex, let's hear it. I feel bad.
I don't want to. I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about it. I guess I will. KP said, Aaron Donald out there wreaking havoc. Guess who didn't get a sack against the Eagles? Aaron Donald and the entire Rams O-line. Guess who's still terrible? The Eagles. Did I say that incorrectly? I got faces.
They had a few interceptions, but it can be caused by pressure.
He threw 2. Didn't he?
I think they had 2. They had 2.
Yeah, I remember the one. So Eagles, our offense looked better to me, but that's not saying much because they still were bad. We had 2 drives in that game that made it look like we were coming back into it. We got it within 5. I mean, everybody in our chat was like, Alex, you're being ridiculous. You're right back in this game. And then immediately we were just garbage again. We had 2 really good drives. And Wentz just doesn't look the same. And it bums me out because I really love Wentz. He is near and dear to my heart. I think he is a great quarterback. I think he's shown he can be great. I really do think he has everything to be great. And the loss wasn't just on him. I mean, the whole offense struggled. The injuries are awful, but the O-line didn't give up. We gave up 8 sacks, and that's what everybody kind of pinned it on. 8 sacks. How can you have consistency if you're constantly getting hit? And this week we had no sacks against the best D tackle in football. Not a single player got to Wentz once, and they were still bad. And he was getting the ball out quicker, which was good, and we were moving the ball more often. We scored more. But we're just not very good. And the defense was awful. I mean, Rodney McLeod, our starting safety, who's a very good safety, said everything they ran, we practiced against. They didn't run a single thing that surprised us, and that shows you that this is not good, that we've got something serious going on. He said that in his press conference, and I like that. I like Jim Schwartz taking the blame. I've been so up and down on Jim as a D coordinator, and right now I'm down, very, very, very down on him. We're playing the Bengals this week. The Bengals aren't very good. And I think this is a game we can turn it around. And then we play the Niners. The Niners, Ed, you asked me, started the season, I thought we could beat could go either way, but I think we could beat. Now I think we have a real shot to beat them with all these injuries. Jimmy G shouldn't be playing. Bosa's gone. I mean, they've got a lot of injuries. So if we can end the month 2-2, I'm going to be in a lot better position going into the Steelers and the Ravens the following weeks because I think we could then go 3-3 and then try to really smooth it out. But we really got to figure our stuff out. Jalen Reagor got hurt today. He hurt his thumb in practice, and he's going to be out. I think he tore some ligaments in his thumb, similar to what happened to Breeze last year. And I think can't catch a ball if you don't have a thumb. So I am bummed. I'm still hopeful. I mean, I'm gonna angrily watch them and weirdly be, happy I'm watching Eagles football all year. So I hope they turn it around. I hope I'm screaming and yelling next week on the Get Back Guys about how great they played. But this week's gonna be a test. If we play the Bengals and play them really well, like we did against the Jets last year, where we were kind of starting real shaky, and this year's been worse than last year's start, but we really beat the Jets, and they were a bad team. And we really beat them down, and that gave us a little bit of momentum to play good teams well again. And I think we need that. If we lose or win poorly or win tight, like something like the Dolphins game last year, I'm going to be real nervous and just pretty much going to think our season's kind of out. And the Cowboys having such an epic comeback stung worse because I was ready for them all to lose, all of the division to lose. And the Cowboys had a great comeback against, I think, a good Atlanta team. So I'm nervous.
Yeah, our 12-4 prediction is looking a little dicey. Only 2 weeks in, it's looking a little dicey, but hopefully that changes.
Again, injuries are brutal. I mean, the fact that we have 3 guys that we wanted to start the season at O-line are not playing. 2 of them didn't play at all week 1. 1 did. The other one played in week 2 but got hurt halfway through the game. It's just the injuries are tough. On paper, we look so great. It's hard not to love my team on paper because we look so great. But it's the injuries, and we said that caveat all year. So what about you, Nick, and your Packers who are riding high too? All you stink. You're all got good teams, and I don't appreciate it. I mean, I am happy for you.
Real quick, Nick, Thank you for Aaron Jones. Helped me win fantasy. Thank you. Thank you for him. Okay.
I'm also 0-2 in fantasy, so cool. Way to bring that up, pal. Go ahead, Nick.
Aaron Jones is he's earning himself quite the payday. I don't know how we're going to pay all our players because we got a lot of big contracts coming up, but we've looked incredible. This is the best Aaron Rodgers has looked pre-snap in probably half a decade. And the stats back that up. Hasn't got this is the quickest he's gotten the ball out since 2014, the last time he has won an MVP, and a big part of that is the trust of the wide receivers and the trust of the system. He's getting to the line of scrimmage a lot quicker. Last year, the Packers were getting down and having a play set with 4 seconds left on the clock. Now it seems like they're getting down set with 12 or 15 seconds, so Aaron can just pick apart the defense. And yeah, PFF has him rated not only as the highest quarterback, but the highest player in the league through 2 weeks with a 95.6 grade, which would be the best in his career ever if he were to keep this going. He's been incredible. We had a lot of drops last week. Our offense is looking to be, kind of one of the best offenses in the league, probably for sure top 5. Aaron keeps playing like this. The concern is the defense. We still can't stop the run, and our safety play has been atrocious up to this point. And so I think, if Aaron's playing like he is, we can beat anybody because he's just one of the best players to ever play the game. But when it gets down to playoff time, you're going to need a little bit more. And so I hope we go out and get either defensive lineman, Snacks Harrison's a guy whose name's been floated around the Packers, or there's 2 linebackers, I think Todd Davis and former Eagle Nigel, what's his name, Alex? Nigel.
You have
something?
Nigel Bradham?
No, I want him. I'm saying I think the Packers need to go out and get one more piece on the defensive side of the ball.
Honestly,
unless
I want
we
us
have
to bring Nigel back.
Yeah, unless
linebacker
someone steps up, because in the middle of that defense, middle linebacker and kind of safety is weak. Cornerback play has been awesome. Our edge defenders are incredible, but unless they take a major jump, it's still going to be on Aaron Rodgers in this offense. But I mean, you can't not be excited when Aaron Rodgers is playing this good. So yeah, I think we're one of the top 5 teams for sure in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining all off season that they didn't get that other weapon for Aaron to have, but it kind of seems like that doesn't really matter. It seems like the guys that they currently have are stepping up. I mean, they're nowhere near what you were probably hoping to get, but they're getting there though. Like, it's looking like it's clicking in the passing game, and that's what's helping Aaron a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of year 2 of this Matt LaFleur offense, which, we saw Matt Ryan in 2015. He was really inconsistent. 2016 MVP, and then MVS as well. He has been awesome. And Devontae Adams missed the second half of the last game, and we still were. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think threw any touchdowns in that half. He had one dropped because Aaron Jones was playing so good, but he was hitting a lot of deep balls to MVS, and we were still moving the ball easily. If he needed to, he could have. I think he still could have tore up that defense without him. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the Pack. But let's move on to the segment over and underrated. So what do we think people are overreacting to, and what are people underreacting to? And we'll start with Alex to lead this segment off, and then we'll move around.
We start
and wait before
overs or unders.
Let's do overs first. But before, I'd like to mention last week I mentioned this was my underreaction, and I said people are not talking about Cam Newton enough. People need to talk about how incompetent the Colts, Chargers, and Bears were for not signing him and letting him go to the Patriots for nothing. And no one talked about it the whole week. And then he goes and he plays fantastic against the Seahawks. Gives him a chance where if he gets one more yard, if they beat the Seahawks, with the Patriots defense losing that much talent, for them to even be in that game is unbelievable. And now people are like, oh, maybe Cam Newton, if he was a Colt, maybe the Colts would be one of the best teams in the NFL. Sorry, you had to get that out there. Called it out.
And you're like, I know. I've been saying it. No, this is the best Cam has looked. I've never seen him this accurate before. And that he showed that on Sunday night.
Yeah, he had one bad play on Sunday, and the rest he was pretty flawless. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Alex, what are people overreacting to from week 2?
Will I ever leave the division? No. I think people are overreacting to the Cowboys a wee little bit, them boys. And am I biased? Absolutely. But I mean, they score 40 points. They have an incredible comeback. I'm not going to take anything away. But since then, the narrative is these boys are the best in the NFC East, and I do not even think they're. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm very good right now, but I don't necessarily think they're and they might end up being the best, but I think when it comes to the heavy hitters, I think the Cowboys are going to struggle. I mean, they only scored 17 points in week 1, and they lost. I mean, I think the Rams are a very good team, but I haven't been impressed. Their defense is not very good. They give up a lot of points, and they're going to need an incredible offense and incredible type comebacks all week to keep this up. And so I think people are overreacting a little bit. I think the narrative, at least in my circle, I keep hearing how great the Cowboys are. Maybe it's just because I'm an Eagle fan and I'm in that division so much, but that is my overreaction because I think we're being a little too hard. I'm hearing they're like maybe fighting for the 1 seed with everybody, and I don't know about that guy. I think they're fighting for a 5 seed. So
Well, that was going to be one of my choices, so I'm there with you. I get it.
It's your overreaction?
Well, that's one of my choices. I figured someone was going to take the Cowboys thing, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I think their offense is really good. Their defensive line seems pretty good too, but I don't know. I just don't trust the Cowboys. I mean, I've said in our predictions video, they're always like an 8-8 team, a 9-17. Let's just see if they finally pop. But for right now, the comeback was great. I'm just not ready to say they're like a team to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the Cowboys is if the Eagles do end up not being that great of a team this year, because neither of us, I think no one really thinks Washington or the Giants are going to be that great. That division is really weak, and if they play good in the division, they can rack up a lot of wins and kind of get to that 11 type of a win team.
Yeah.
But I'm still with you guys. So KP, what is your what do you think people are overreacting to right about now?
Gosh, I would say that just kind of in general, and you see it all the time in the NFL, how plays at end of games change the narrative of a game, a week, a season. You look at the Cowboys. If Greg the Leg, who came over from the Rams, doesn't make that kick, they're 0-2, and it's like the wall, everything's caving in on them. It's a disaster. And then also with the Patriots and Seahawks, if, they block the play better, I don't remember, was it Bobby Wagner who came in and blew up that play?
No, it wasn't even like one of our studs. It was just like a backup guy. It was LJ Collier on defensive line and Delano Hill. They just made a really good play.
What number is he?
Who, LJ Collier?
Yeah, do you know?
95?
Okay.
Collier, I know the name. I know Collier. The other guy, never heard of him.
Yeah, he's a depth guy, but they made the play. But anyway,
I found out
continue.
you guys signed Anthony Rush, who was a D tackle for us that played for you last week, and he played pretty well. It's a bummer. I wanted to keep him, and you got a good guy there. But anyway, get back to KP.
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand that in the NFL it's a bottom line league of wins and losses, but I think it's just incredible how little plays at the end of games change seasons. And as we all know, because we've watched the NFL for years, how momentum can really drive a team or it can destroy a team. And getting clutch wins can really help. I mean, if the Patriots score there, they're 2-0. They got a great win on the road in Seattle. I mean, Belichick, he already kind of does look like a genius with this Cam Newton signing. But if Cam Newton runs that ball in and they win on the road, it's, it's just, I think people will look at Belichick as even more of a genius, and he's got 14 more games with Cam to try to prove it. And then, as far as the Cowboys go with that end of game scenario, I mean, the onside kick, that's one of the more bizarre things I've ever seen in an NFL game that worked. But Greg makes a kick. Cowboys win. They're 1-1, looking pretty good in the division as their main rival is 0-2 in the Eagles. And it's just it's amazing how important kickers are. And I think back on how we had to let Zuerlein go because of salary cap reasons, and now we've got a rookie who has not looked great, and we're probably going to need a kick at some point this year, and I would much rather have Zuerlein. I know he's missed some. He missed one in Seattle last year. I think it was a 48-yarder that would have been good from 55 because it curves in.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit deeper. But, And just, the fact that Greg Zerline made 2 kicks in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago to get the Rams the Super Bowl. I like kickers, and just end game scenarios. I just find it's incredible how different things look depending on how teams execute at the end of games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the kick that you just mentioned, that I was thinking about while you were talking, is that Greg Zerloin missed kick early in the year against the Seahawks. If that kick goes in, you guys are both 10-6, and I don't know how the tiebreakers work out, but all of a sudden the Seahawks.
Well, we would have had it because we beat them in LA, so we would have been 2-0.
The Seahawks would have missed the playoffs last year if that kick goes in. So like little things like that.
Trouble.
And then you look at the Chicago Bears, who have been on the right side of it the first 2 weeks of the year, where the Lions dropped a pass swifted to win the game. And then the Giants also had a chance to beat them. They were within the 5-yard line, I'm pretty sure, at the end of the game, and they just couldn't get it in the end zone.
Yeah,
so
they had
very
that
easily they could be
pass interference.
with the Bengals. So that's a great point. So Kyle, what do you think people are overreacting to?
The Chicago Bears and how good Mitch Trubisky looks. It's impressive.
People are overreacting to that?
I think so. I think people are going, hey, this Bears team, they're surprising. Mitch doesn't look like he sucks. It's 2 weeks in. Teams never come into fruition until week 3 or 4. Let's give it time. I'm not ready to buy into any sort of hype that's starting to build with Mitch Trubisky. The Bears defense is great, but I don't really trust Matt Nagy's offense all that much. I don't think it's become as creative of a force as people have thought it was many years ago. So I'm not ready to give them that certificate of good job guy. I'm just not ready for that. I want to see more out of this team. I want to see more of Mitch, and if he's capable of performing average to good, So I think people are starting to be like, ooh, the Bears, they're starting to get sneaky. Mitch is starting to actually look pretty good, and I'm not ready for that conversation yet. I say wait a bit longer.
Mitch Trubisky in the first game completed 20 of 36 passes, 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. Insanely misleading because most of it came in garbage time. I mean, they won the game, so I guess not garbage time, but towards the end of the game, I tuned in and out of that game, and he looked awful. He was constantly missing throws. In week 2, he threw 2 picks, had 2 touchdowns, and 190 yards off of throwing 28 times, completing 18 of those passes. He hasn't looked very good. The media needs to calm down. I'm with you. That's ridiculous. Mitch is average to below, if even average. He never looks good when I watch him. He just never hits open guys, doesn't go through reads. He looks like Carson Wentz now. So Carson, fix it.
Oh, big oof.
Yeah, so my overreaction, I agree with everything on the Bears. I think the Bears as a team are decent. They might get a bump because the Vikings have looked horrendous so far.
True. Yeah.
And the Lions are the Lions, so they could get a couple extra wins on that front. But I think people are overreacting to Drew Brees a little bit. Drew Brees looked bad. He's looked bad his last 3 games, going back to that Vikings playoff game. He did not look very good against the Bucs. His team just outplayed a Buccaneers team that just got thrown together and is going to need a little bit of time. And he looked bad for especially the second half of that game against the Raiders. But as bad as he has played, he can't throw the ball downfield. He still is an incredibly accurate quarterback. I would not be shocked. I'm not expecting him to, rise up and be a top 5 quarterback this year necessarily, but he's played like one of the worst quarterbacks in football so far. I think people are a little overreacting to his arm strength. He's accurate when he throws. Michael Thomas is hurt. They're still going to be a pretty good team. And if this is still happening 6 weeks from now, then I think it's time to say, okay, Drew Brees is going 2015 Peyton Manning, but let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Let it. He needs to get into the season a little bit, and I think you'll start to see Drew Brees play a little bit better.
You think Derek Carr is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league?
No, I said Drew Brees has played like one of the worst quarterbacks.
Oh, I thought you said he played.
Okay.
He's played one of the worst. And I knew it wasn't going to end up being Brady, so I was curious if that's what you thought of Derek Carr.
I was
Oh,
confused
no.
when Alex asked that. I was like, when
No.
did that happen?
I just misheard you.
Breeze has
Okay.
been one of probably the 5 worst quarterbacks, 6 worst quarterbacks in the first 2 weeks.
Honestly, neither him or
When you
Brady look
watch
that
him.
great. Neither of them look like they can throw super well anymore. That they're kind of just starting to fall off a little bit, and that happens. They're 40-something years old. It's gonna happen. I like it.
I think Brady's
with
still
their-
good.
I think mentally they're the best they've ever been, but Father Time is undefeated, and he's going to get those guys at some point, and maybe this is that year.
Could be.
Need a few more
Yeah,
games to
but-
find out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
people
true.
are just overreacting to really just he had a horrendous pick, and I think that's kind of driven this narrative that he's going to fall off a cliff. I think he'll get back to being at least an above average quarterback for this year. All right, so now let's discuss what's underrated. What do people need to be talking about more? I hit it on the head last week with my Cam Newton take. So Alex,
saying
what's
that
your
for a while.
take for the what's
Caught me right as I was
underrated?
drinking.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong here. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars might be underrated here. Am I wrong in that? Is everybody talking about it? Am I just incorrect? They look really good. They look good. They're a good
Yeah,
team. I
but-
think people are
And their
underrating
division-
them.
And their division doesn't look very solid, so they could, that division might be a 9-win team in the playoffs.
Yeah, probably.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are an underrated team, and I know people are talking about them, but I think they're actually going to win more than what the media is saying. I think they're actually going to surprise. They're taking good teams, to either a loss or tight. So,
Yeah,
you still
I
with
think
me here?
Yeah.
the Jags kind of remind me of the Buccaneers like a couple years ago. Like when they beat the Saints really early, or they started out like 2-0, and everyone was like, the Bucs are for real, and then
Yeah.
they weren't for real. I think that was 2018. So I think the Jags might slow down a little bit as it goes on. We see
It's possible.
we see bad
Wasn't
teams.
that the Fitzmagic stuff going on that year?
Yeah,
Wasn't
that's exactly what it was.
That's when they beat the Eagles in week 2. Way to bring that up.
Yeah.
I brought it up, but all right.
So
yeah,
so
there you go.
and last year we saw the Bengals almost beat the Seahawks in week 1, and the Seahawks ended up winning 11 games, and the Bengals were terrible. So I think Minshew's awesome. I like their rookie running back. I think they still might kind of fall out of existence here in a few weeks, though.
I mean, you might very well be right, but that is me overreacting to an undertake here. But if Minshew was on like the Bears, they'd be so good.
No.
They'd be very good.
Send him
They'd
to
be
the
very good.
Colts.
Or the Colts, they'd be very good. Same with Cam Newton. Y'all whiffed.
I think I think the Jays could actually beat the Dolphins. And I wasn't saying that for a prediction video, I don't think, but Alex is onto something.
That
Like
can
this
go
team.
either way.
Yeah, I
Dolphins
think
aren't
they
very
could
good.
beat
I
the
don't know.
Dolphins
I think-
tomorrow. I think
But
they could beat them tomorrow.
I don't think it will surprise people if the Dolphins beat the Jags, but I think it will surprise people a lot if the Jags beat the Dolphins. And I think that's a very big possibility. I'm with Alex. I like what I see out of Minshew. DJ Chark is awesome. They've gotten some players that seem like they're hitting when the moment counts. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but so far it's actually a lot better than people, including us, gave them credit for. So
Yeah.
I get it.
So KP, what's your what do you think's underrated?
I think that the NFC West as a division is not getting the attention that they should. You've got 3 2-0 teams and a 1-1 team where their only loss is to one of the 2-0 teams in the division. So 6-0 outside of the division, and some solid teams too. It's not, the Patriots. Who did the Seahawks beat week 1?
Falcons.
And yeah, they took the Cowboys to the wire. The Rams beat the Cowboys, went on the road and beat the Eagles. I think I would not surprise me if last place in the NFC West this year is an 8-8, 500 record.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
By far the best division in football. I would not be shocked. My guess is 3 teams. I mean, the Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, all 3 of them have a really good chance to make the postseason.
Which one right now do
Especially-
you think is leading the division? Like if the playoffs started tomorrow, who is the number one in the division? I know the answer. I want to know what are your guesses. Kyle says
Cardinals.
it's Hawks.
Cardinals
KP?
Well,
are
it
leading
would
the
have to
division.
be, it would have to be the Cardinals because they're
They
the only
are.
one with a division win, which is the first
Yeah.
tiebreaker.
I wanted to see if Kyle would catch it or if it was just
And
gonna be
also,
ridiculous.
I hopped on the Cardinals bandwagon pretty early, saying that they're going to win the division. And I think they're going to start 5-0. I bet maybe 4-1, and be off to they have a really easy schedule at the start. Watch out.
I was on the train, but I was kind of hanging off, and then Nick kind of came in and grabbed me. He was like, "You get back in here, big boy!" So I'm
Goodness,
back
what-
on full throttle. I like those Cardinals.
Goodness, what happened on that train?
It's a fun time, man.
It.
It's right next to the trains I built for Patty and Nick built for Lamar that people don't realize, but we did. In our
Yep.
group, anyway.
But yeah, KP, I'm totally with you that the NFC West is insane, and it could end up being like you guys. Like, I'm curious to see what the division records are going to be like. Is everyone just going to split? Like, will the Rams split with the Cardinals
everyone
and the
might
Seahawks?
be 3-3. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real possibility.
I
that,
do. No,
that-
finish up, KP. All right.
Yeah, just saying that the division winner might be 11-5, but there could be 2 10-6 teams and an 8-8 team as well. So they might not
Yeah.
get the 1 seed in the NFC. I think the Packers have a pretty good shot at it. I don't think anybody from the NFC South will, because I think that division is going to beat up on itself a little bit, just like the NFC West. But I think that I'll say this. It would not surprise me if there's 2 NFC West teams in the NFC Championship this year.
Sure.
Wow.
I'll say this. In the
I
NFC
see it, though.
East, the Eagles are looking for a giant sneak-in wild card, be awful, and then make a run kind of play. Alex is back on the high positive train, and I like it. I will say this, though, too. The Niners' injuries, if it continues and they can't get back and they can't get healthy, I think they could drop off under 8-8. But if they can even put together some sort of consistency, I mean, Bosa is a huge loss. Mostert is big. Jimmy is supposed to be out a month. And if he comes back and is still kind of banged up, doesn't look the same, and I already kind of think he's average, they could maybe fall off if any of the teams do. But even if they can pull together some consistency, 8-8 makes sense. So I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Yeah. And as far as the Niners go, I think we saw it last year. They didn't get to the Super Bowl because of Jimmy Garoppolo. They got to the Super Bowl because of that defense and that offensive line,
Yeah.
which, I mean, how many times have you seen a guy in the NFL at running back who you don't really know who he is? He gets behind a good O-line, and all of a sudden he's a superstar. I think that they could probably plug in at running back. I know that it's going to be difficult to find somebody with the breakaway speed.
They have
that's,
McKinnon, right?
Yeah.
Jarek McKinnon's their
will
guy.
be
'Cause
the-
Coleman got hurt as well, but McKinnon, he's had a lot of injury issues. But when he was healthy in Minnesota, before Dalvin Cook really took over, he was a pretty quality back. Yeah, I think a big thing for them is that Kittle is. I don't know how long he's going to be out.
hurt,
Same with
too.
Richard.
Yeah, that's tough.
Richard Sherman's hurt. They've got two guys on their D line out. Their defense, people are going to be able to score on that defense. And is their offense? I mean, Mullins isn't a bad backup by any means. So I think if their injuries are long lasting, they could end up getting like a 7-6 win team. But yeah, the NFC West is just stacked.
Yeah. I think that the key for the Niners is they just have to stay afloat the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that could be if they're 3-3 after their 6th game, I think they'll be okay. But yeah, if they slip to 1-5, it's going to be real tough to get back in the division race. And just knowing that you've got, I mean, they've already lost one division game. So they I don't know what their schedule is coming up, if they've got more division games or if they're kind of playing outside of the division, maybe can get some wins that way. But if they can hang around and get guys healthy, they'll be okay. But it doesn't hurt my feelings if they're not. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
same. Right there.
I'm
with ya.
also one last thought on the West before we go to Kyle's point. I'm so excited to watch the Cardinals and Seahawks play just
It's
to
gonna be
see.
fun.
And the matchups between, so when you look at the Seahawks offense versus the Cardinals defense, like Buda Baker and Isaiah Simmons, seeing them kind of have to contain Russell Wilson. And then on the flip side, Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams trying to contain Kyler Murray because the 49ers could not do it. And that was before all of these injuries. I think that's going to be a battle. And then you obviously have Ramsey and Donald who can wreak havoc, especially on both the Seahawks and Cardinals offensive line. So it should be
I've
some good
watched
battles for the
both
West.
2 Cardinals games almost completely.
Mhm.
Kyler looks like what young Russ looked like that first year or so where his defense was playing so well. And people were like, we were supposed to start Matt Flynn. Who is this guy? And he's just kind of showing up. Kyler looks like he is going in that direction. He looks insane. That offense is so good. The Cardinals are cool. That's a fun train to be on right now.
And their
Especially when the
defense
other
is
birds
played. I mean, I know that they played Washington in week 2, which doesn't have the greatest offense, but their defense is played awesome.
Thanks.
Hassan Reddick, who was looking like a draft bust from the 2017 draft, has really turned it around to outside linebacker. Kyle, let's go to your underrated.
I want to talk about the Panthers. And I know that's weird to say because
Just kidding.
they lost to the Bucks.
The Panthers?
Yeah, I know, but hear me out here.
All right.
So looking back at them,
I
the
don't
first
want
half of that game against the Bucks, they didn't look good. They weren't able to get things moving. On offense, really, and on the defensive side, they were obviously getting smoked even by Tom Brady. And sadly, like they lost Christian McCaffrey. That's going to be a huge deal for that team. Teddy Bridgewater,
Mike Davis,
was throwing,
baby.
Yeah, maybe Mike Davis will pop. I mean, I know he popped for the
He
Seahawks.
played
but,
great last week.
Yeah. And anyway, Teddy Bridgewater had those 2 bad picks. They were bad. I get that. But the second half of that game, they were actually making a good comeback. They were actually doing a pretty decent job at bend don't break defense, where they were able to kind of stop the Bucks from scoring even more points than they already were in the first half. And their offense under Teddy Bridgewater was able to get a passing game down that was pretty impressive. And we know that Bucks defense is pretty good on pass coverage. So I'm not saying like they're going to be, the team on the rise that, it's like the 8-8 team or the team that goes to the playoffs. I'm just saying they're not going to be as much of a sinking ship as we made them out to be. I think under Matt Rule, they're actually a team that's really gathering together and trying to make a statement immediately. And they're going to do that within tight games like the one we saw from the Bucks and the Panthers game. So I don't think people are talking about the Panthers because obviously they're not winning. They're 0-2. They lost Christian McCaffrey, so they're probably not going to talk about them even worse so. But I think the way that you look at how they handled that game, that's going to happen a lot. And I think people kind of need to see and look at what they're building because that might help a lot come the next year under Matt Rule.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always rooting a lot for Teddy Bridgewater. You never want to see a guy who had a really promising career, then went down for injuries. To see him come back up has been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the Panthers in probably 2 years seems like that's when they might really start playing really well. But they have a underrated receiving core with Robbie Anderson and Samuel.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think they're still – I still would – I'd be kind of surprised if they won more than 5 or 6 games this year.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to
pegged
do
them
that.
for less. So
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
those games will be tight.
One thing that'll help the Panthers going forward as well is you've got 2 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks in your division. They're not, how many more years can they be around? And then you've got Matt Ryan in Atlanta, who's also, I think he was in the 07 or 08 draft class. So he's getting up there as well.
37, I think.
Yeah.
No,
I think
maybe
if the-
35.
I'm going to look it up.
If the Panthers can play it right with the salary cap and draft well, they could have a window to win that division for a few years while the other teams are rebuilding. Because the other teams, they're obviously looking at their windows right now, whereas the Panthers aren't. And if they can utilize the salary cap and just find some diamonds in the rough, they could really be something to see in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Matt
they
Ryan
signed
is-
Matt Rule. Oh, you go, Alex.
Matt Ryan is 35 years old, and Teddy's 27. So Teddy, they've got him as primed up years if he stays healthy, so they're in a good position. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, good contract.
They signed Matt Rule for 6 years. They know this is the guy, and they believe that this guy is going to rally a team together. And you're right, KP. Like, they could rally in 2 years. Like, if they're playing this season right and they're playing so closely as I think they're going to after seeing what they did with the Bucks, I could see that being reasonable to where they're a playoff contender in 2 years or so.
Yeah, they just can't miss. I don't know what Christian McCaffrey's shelf life is going to be. I mean, we've seen in recent years with running backs, it's not very long. He might be the exception. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what Adrian Peterson is still doing. That guy is incredible. But at the same time, they gotta make sure that whenever their window is open, Christian McCaffrey stays healthy and he's ready to be the dominant player we know him to be.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Totally agree.
Yeah, so to my underrated, and I think people need to talk about this team. There's a buzz coming around them, but they're for real. And I know Alex has been on the train, but Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Let's go, baby!
Which
Let's
is
go,
big because
Bills.
they play the Rams next week. But Josh Allen, I saw a stat that he's the fourth quarterback to have 700 passing yards in his first 2 games of the season, 6 touchdowns, 0 picks. The other 3 was Peyton Manning in 2013, Tom Brady in 2015, Patty Mahomes in 2018. That's pretty impressive company. And those 3 years. So Josh Allen has looked amazing. Stephon Diggs, I think a lot of us were saying it. He is looking on that trade for the Vikings and seeing the Vikings offense without him. He's a lot better than Adam Thielen. And so he's showing to be the stud, and he's kind of getting unleashed, which is making me happy.
It helps too, though, that they have somebody opposite him like John Brown, who is
Brown's
really,
underrated.
really good. And
He's really solid.
He went from like, can this guy be a number 1 or is John Brown a number 2 to, oh, wait, we have a number 1. Now he can flourish and become a number 1.
And he's perfect. Diggs is a perfect kind of guy for Josh Allen who can just fire the ball to him all around. So Stephon Diggs' ceiling this year, he's going to be definitely a top 10 wide receiver, I think, by the end of the year. And their defense, I know, struggled a little bit against the Dolphins. They gave up 28 points, and that game was kind of close, but it's a division game. Look out. I think people are the Bills, I think, are clearly going to be the 3rd best team in the AFC behind the Ravens and Chiefs. And I think people are undervaluing them and kind of going for teams like the Steelers, thinking the Steelers are better, which I disagree with pretty hardcore. So, yeah, the Bills are awesome. Josh Allen has taken a big leap. That offense looks incredible. And I'm excited to see them battle the Patriots a little bit because Cam Newton's been cool too. But mark down the Bills because they're going to be pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah,
been on that train
the
for a while.
The Bills have done an excellent job of taking a quarterback who is labeled as a project almost, but taking a quarterback like Josh Allen and building around him, being able to build an O-line that protects him so well to where he feels comfortable and having receivers to where it matches Josh Allen's strength. Josh Allen has
a running back committee too.
Exactly, a running back committee that can get the job done when you can't really rely on Josh Allen. But if you do, they have the right weapons to where they're not, the biggest stars other than Stephon Diggs. That's obviously changed. But the same thing is with Stephon Diggs and John Brown. They're excellent route runners that have incredible bursts, incredible speed, and they have the hands to be able to catch whatever Josh Allen is throwing their way. Like the Bills are just doing a great job at building around their quarterback and understanding what kind of team they are. And not a lot of teams can do that. Like, it's just so tough to do, but the Bills are doing an excellent job, and I think that's going to pay off this year.
Yeah, and they have a fantastic coaching staff. So I think they're really putting it together to actually win their division and solidify themselves as a team that has a realistic, if not outside chance because of the juggernauts of the AFC. But I think a semi-realistic chance to make a run at a Super Bowl this year. I don't think that's out of the question for them.
I love
Big
it.
possibility.
Wow, I think this week's game with the Rams, obviously as a Rams fan, I think it's probably, it's going to be a big indication for both teams. I mean, 2-0, it's September. You don't want to get too excited, but I think the winner of that game will get a lot of respect on Monday,
I
can
totally
see
agree.
that.
as they should. As
You
they
got
should.
Monday Night
And-
Football? Bills Rams is Monday Night Football?
No, I'm
No.
saying Monday after the game on Sunday.
Oh.
They play the early window on Sunday in
And is
Buffalo.
It's in Buffalo.
It is in Buffalo. Yeah, the
Mm.
Rams actually,
it's cold.
after they played the Eagles out east, they're staying out east this week, so they don't have to travel cross country. So
Smart.
hopefully, because I know that's one thing that happens sometimes in the NFL when you have West Coast teams in that early window, they look a little sluggish, and hopefully that won't happen to the Rams because they're going to be in an all-day fight to try to get a win.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, and you're right. If the Rams get a big win there, because I'm still guessing the Bills might drop a couple games. I still think they're probably an 11-12 win team, so this could very well be one of those games that they drop, and that would be scary for the NFC West because every game for sure matters in that division.
Totally.
So real quick, let's just go around and give me one or two surprises so far, whether it's from both weeks, week 2. And let's start with you, Kyle. What's your biggest surprise?
Which Kyle?
the
Kyle
Oh.
Rester.
KP,
Seahawks,
you
Kyle.
were KP here when you're on the Get Back, guys. You were
That
KP.
That showed the
Excuse me.
difference. That showed the difference between KP and I. I'm thinking it's all about me, but KP is so kind enough that he was like, "Wait, Kyle, the other Kyle should go. Clearly, it's all about him. Like, please."
Kyle's true colors are finally coming
They
out
show.
now for the viewers. Nick and I have known it for years. This guy is fine. It's all about him.
Don't be
Well,
shocked
that's-
if next week I'm
I mean,
replaced by this guy.
Everyone knew that because he's a Seahawks fan.
Ooh.
It's all about you. It's so much
Yep.
about you. You had to retire a jersey just for yourself with the number 12.
Yeah.
All right,
right.
what's your surprises?
My surprise was the Raiders beating the Saints, and
Unbelievable.
kind of like I remember thinking back to when we were talking about the Raiders, and I was saying that this is a team that's slowly getting good players so that way they can keep building to becoming a playoff contender. So, and I was saying that there was probably going to be some games to where they really show up and they showed like they're willing to like play tough and play hard in order to be taken seriously. But I didn't expect it to be against the Saints, like in week 2. I wasn't expecting that at all. So I was really impressed by the way this team is being handled right now. I think, like I said, they're not going to be a playoff team yet, but they're really starting to show that they're going to be tough and they're going to prove their point that watch out for them in like next year even. Like they're
Now-
probably going to be a playoff contender by then.
Was Nick's unbelievable because he agrees with you that it's unbelievable they did it? Or is Nick's unbelievable the fact that he thinks the Saints are not very good, so it shouldn't have been a shock? Let's tune in. Nick,
No.
what do you think?
What's unbelievable is that in our weekly picks that we have on Monday, because I had a decent day on Sunday, but I had 3 close losses. I picked the Giants to win, they lose on a last play. I picked the Patriots to win, they lose on a last play, and I picked the Falcons to win. Same thing.
And for
So I go
clarification,
and
we do separate picks. A few of us
Picks
here
per picks
week
per
with
week, right?
with our fantasy boys. Yep.
So I look at Monday, and early in the week I set my picks, and I picked Oakland to win. And I look at them on Monday at about 4 o'clock, and I'm the Las Vegas. Sorry, I keep doing that. That's like
No,
the
it's
4th
okay.
time.
It's okay. I just
And
wanted
I
to
picked
get
the
you.
Raiders to win, and everyone else in there's like 10 people, 9 people in these picks, picked the Saints. So I switched it at 4 o'clock, 2 hours before
12.
kickoff. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought the Raiders had a pretty good chance to win that game because Michael Thomas was out. And I think Drew Brees is having a slow start. But yeah, the Raiders, their offense has been impressive.
Josh Jacobs is a machine. Darren Waller is even more
Yep.
of a machine. Derek Carr, I love,
Darren.
and he's showing up. Or he showed up in that game anyway. Let's hope that continues.
You're gonna
I'm
show
just
up for your
kicking
first
myself.
game in the new stadium.
Yeah.
I
True.
think, we kind of talked about this when we did our AFC West picks. One of those 3 teams is gonna come out and be a playoff team: Broncos, Chargers, or Raiders, because we know what the Chiefs are gonna do.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Raiders have a decent chance. And I guess let me do my surprise real quick because mine goes in with that. Mine was the Chargers, and that how close they played the Chiefs just surprised me.
Herbie
I don't
Sherby,
think-
baby.
Yeah, I don't think Herbert he wasn't as good as people indicate. It was far more the defense, I think, of the
Watch the
Chargers
tape.
playing really well. And Herbert, I think, is still not that great of a quarterback, but their defense, for them to play that good on Patty Mahomes, I mean, if you saw that, Patty Mahomes probably had the throw of the weekend on that rollout right, that bomb to Tyreek was
Yeah.
unbelievable. And then and just like Kyle was talking about, KP was talking about earlier with the kickers, he made 4 50-plus yard kicks. 2 of them
3.
didn't count. Well, he made one earlier.
Oh, he made one
before.
earlier. Yeah, you're right.
So
you're
4
right.
at the end of the game. 2 of them didn't count because of a penalty and ice in the kicker. But for him to do that at the end of the game was incredible. So Chargers surprised me. But Alex, what's your surprise?
Real quick, there was a video that went viral of Gardner Minshew as Gardner breaks out of the collapsing pocket, and he's rolling to his left, and he twists his body and throws a dart for a touchdown. And everybody was saying, it was on Twitter because people are saying, if this was Patty or Lamar, the media wouldn't shut up about it. But because it's the Jags, no one's talking about it. So I just wanted to point that out because you mentioned Patty and Lamar, so it made me think of it. But I have 2 very quick surprises, and one is not a surprise for me because I've been saying it, but I think it's a surprise to everybody else. No positive COVID tests. I think no one's really talking about it, and I think it's a big deal because I was saying on this show that these guys are seeing what's happening in the league. They're adult men who want to make their millions, and they want to play the game. They don't want it to be canceled, and we're seeing no tests coming back positive. Fans are even coming back negative for some of these teams that are having fans. And I think that is a big deal that is not it's kind of getting an afterthought, but it is a big deal, especially for myself, as I'm seeing COVID spike all around me, that I have, especially the last couple of days. I think that's a big deal that these guys are not in a bubble, and everybody said they can't do it. The NFL can't do it. There's no way. If they don't do a bubble, they can't do it, and they can't do a bubble because it's impossible with that many people, and they're doing it. And I think that's a big deal. I saw it, but my other thing is then it's the injuries. My surprise is the injuries. How many injuries does the league have? What are we doing? What did we do this offseason that was so different? Was it the lack of preseason games? I don't know, but the injuries are honestly shocking to me for the entire league. This is how I felt last year as an Eagle fan, seeing those injuries the year before. And then this year, again, being an Eagle fan, it's like I'm used to this, but all of a sudden everybody in the entire league's dropping. I mean, my fantasy team went from looking great to horrible because so many guys have injuries. I mean, Saquon's out, Christian's out, Richard Sherman's out, Jimmy G's out, Drew Lock is out. I mean, I can keep going. Bosa's out. I can keep going on and on. So that is the biggest shock to me. I don't know what we did this offseason. Is it the lack of preseason games? Why are guys dropping like flies all over the league? Last week was brutal. Felt like every minute we were getting a new injury. So that's my big surprise. I hope guys can stay healthy because I want them to. I'm glad COVID's not in. But whatever else is going on, let's keep our ACLs, straight too while we're at it. But that's mine.
Yeah, on the injury front, I'm really curious to hear about what comes from the MetLife Stadium because Saquon tore his ACL, and then you had you had multiple knee injuries from the 49ers. So kind of what's going on? Is that a turf thing, and was it just like one stadium specifically? Because it wasn't just the 49ers, but also the Giants. Slayton got hurt as well. So there's a couple injuries on both sides. So that I'm curious to see. I know they're investigating it, and if it's just a tough day or if there was something in the stadium, because I know if things can go wrong.
Seahawks get injured at the Cardinals Stadium all the time, but no one bats an eye.
Yeah, because it's not
because you guys aren't good.
Literally all your main important pieces are almost always healthy. But let's wrap this up. We're going over time here, so let's get those last couple surprises out.
KP, what's your surprise?
I was gonna go with Justin Herbert, but we kind of touched on that a little bit, just getting thrown in literally right before kickoff, and I thought he did pretty well against the best quarterback in the league.
He had some great throws.
But I think, I haven't watched as much NFL as I usually would as a new father. Got other priorities now, which is kind of awesome. But
Let's
I'm going to go
go.
to what I know, and young Ram defenders, Jordan Fuller, Micah Kaiser. Jordan Fuller made that incredible play on, I think it was CeeDee Lamb on the 4th down stop, week 1 against the Cowboys. And then Micah Kaiser had, I believe, 16 tackles last week, and he got Defensive Player of the Year. And these are both, I believe Kaiser was a 5th-round pick, and Fuller was a 6th-round pick. And that's so key in the NFL. If you can get production out of your late-round picks, you are going to do well because they, frankly speaking, they are much less expensive than your high draft picks or free agents.
That makes me nervous because I already didn't like that you guys got Cam Akers and Van Jefferson. So hearing that even deeper in that draft that you got some studs, I don't like it. I don't like hearing that as a Seahawks fan. But no, that's awesome to hear that they're really starting to make an impact, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's key for the Rams. Kind of going into the season, the big question was, they're going to have a good offense. They got Sean McVay, Jared Goff can be good. They have a really talented wide receiver group. But in that defense, you have 2 stars at the 2 most important positions, which is big, cornerback and pass rusher. But who's going to fill the gaps when you lose Corey Littleton and Fowler? These guys, and Weddle retired. So, and seeing these young guys kind of playing good is necessary for this Rams team to be successful, and we've seen that through the first 2
getting
weeks.
John Johnson, the 3rd back this year, has been huge. He was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago and we made it to the Super Bowl. He had that fantastic pick in the NFC Championship game off of Drew Brees. But he's going to be a guy that we're probably going to lose to free agency, and if we can have young guys like Taylor Rapp and Fuller step up, we're going to be okay. And maybe the window that I thought had completely shrunk almost immediately after the Super Bowl run, maybe it has a little bit of a opening still in it. We'll see. Long way to go, but pleasantly surprised with young players on the Rams.
Yeah, again, one more thing with the Rams. I think people were a little harsh on Sean McVay after your 9-7 year last year. The loser of the Super Bowl often has a hangover, and Sean McVay is still a phenomenal coach. And if these 2 weeks have shown me anything, it's that he's still one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL right now.
He's great.
Yeah, and it was. I know we got to wrap up and everything, but last year if Greg Zuerlein makes that kick against the Seahawks, they're 4-0, a ton of momentum. I guarantee you they don't end up just 10-6. They're probably 11-5, if not 12-4, if that kick goes in. Just based on how it goes in the NFL. When things are good, they're great, and when things go bad, they go terrible a lot of times.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah, so any last thoughts going into week 3 about your teams?
It's going to be a fun week. I get to beat the Bengals at 11. Nick, you got Sunday Night Football against the Saints. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I think the Packers game, how Aaron plays on national television is going to be big for the narrative around the Packers for the rest of the year. It's what always happens when you have a game like the Seahawks getting a big win on Sunday Night Football and then the Saints losing. The Saints lose Monday night and then Sunday night, and Aaron Rodgers looks awesome. I think people are really going to be taking us seriously as one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. But it should be a fun one, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, Alex made an excellent point about no positive COVID results. I hope it sticks that way because I'm loving how football's been playing out so far this season. Like, we haven't had preseason. Everything's been really weird with kind of no offseason as well for practices or whatnot. But it's still looking pretty good. It still feels like football. Like maybe sometimes fan noise is a bit weird when it's not like the real thing. But otherwise, it's been going so far so good, and I hope it keeps up that way. We'll see how week 3 goes. And hopefully those guys with all those injuries get better too. That does.
And Eagles get
get back and healthy. Get back on the field.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of the Get Back Guys. Thank you, KP, for joining the show.
Loved it.
We'll definitely have
new
you.
father around here. All right. You better come back.
Hi, Camden.
Yeah.
You better come back, my guy.
Yeah, well, once the Rams start 8-0, he'll definitely be back on the show. Be gloating when the Seahawks start 2-6.
If they're 3-0 and they beat the Bills, I might have to come back next week. We'll see. Maybe this is the good luck charm.
There we go.
Keep the winning streak going. It's at
I
2.
like it.
Let's get it to 3, and then let's keep going.
Love it.
Awesome. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check down everything below. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Check us out on whatever podcasting platform you enjoy. We'll see you next week after week 3 of action. And we'll also might have some results on the NBA playoffs, see how the Heat and Lakers are doing. So
Oh yeah.
we'll see you
Go
guys
Heat, baby.
next time.
See ya.
Also, Celtics and Nuggets are in there too.
They are.
Don't forget about that.